You're listening to the home of cool, irreverent, and entertaining talk right here on LA Talk Radio. You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona. Priscilla Leona. Only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome to Question Reality. I'm Priscilla Leona, and I am your host. And we are we're live in downtown Los Angeles. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. And we're on every Sunday from 5 to 5:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And basically, our show is about informative entertainment. Now, that means it's our goal to provide you with resource information, tricks of the trade that you'll need in order to pursue your career in entertainment, if that's what you choose to do. We also hope to inspire, motivate, and encourage people that are pursuing this dream as a reality. And we encourage you to call in. We have guests on every week that are in the entertainment business. And we encourage you to call in and ask questions between 5:15 and 5:30. And you can call 818-602-4498. It should be right in front of you if you are listening via the website. And we're going to take your calls directly. You don't have to go through a screening process to be on the air with us. We can click a button and you are on live. And if you like the show and find that it helped you in some way, we'd love to hear that you heard it, you liked our guest, and you can post that on the forum of the LA Talk Radio website. And it only takes a minute to register, and if you don't want to do that, you can enter an email address, send me an email, and that's Priscilla Leona at questionreality.us or Priscilla at questionreality.us. And our guest this week, we have a very intriguing guest. Her name is Sophie Mokhtari, and you can pull up her website right now. It's ChinaGirlBook.com, just like it sounds, ChinaGirlBook.com. And we're going to be talking to her in a couple minutes. She is an author, and the book is coming out. It's not out yet, so you are getting a sneak peek, a preview. You're going to hear all about it. It's coming out on 8/8/08, the day of our Olympics. Hoorah! My God, I'm excited. Looking forward to the Olympics. Love the Olympics. Okay, but what we're going to do first is we are going to talk about a topic today, which I've chosen. I have been collecting and writing these how to do things for years. Basically, I was blogging via Microsoft Word before blogging started, and so many people asked me questions about things, and I'd send them the information via email, and I thought, oh, this sounds really good. I should keep a file on how to do this. So I did, and I finally said, I'm going to start sharing with my audience because I'm getting so many emails on how do you do this, how do you do that, how do you write a script, how do you do this, I said, you know what, I'm going to just start sharing it. So today, the topic is going to be how to write the prize-winning script, which, as a writer, God, everybody's trying to write that prize-winning script. And a lot of people come out here to pursue it that way, but you don't necessarily have to come all the way to Los Angeles or go all the way to New York to do that right away. There are lots of ways that you can do it, and one of them is by entering competitions on websites, and they're called script competitions, and basically they're mushrooming based in terms of sheer number. I mean, if you just go to Google and you type in script writing competitions, you're going to find tons of them, and they have a whole bunch of prizes that are offered, and unfortunately they do have entry fees. They do charge an entry fee. I do not know offhand of one that doesn't, but there is an entry fee that you will have to pay. It's usually not a lot, but be aware of that. So how can you make sure that you've got the time, or if they're worth the time and money, or it's a huge emotional investment? So first, basically, we're going to talk about how to do that. You want to write the prize-winning script. You got to have a prize-winning script to enter, or else you're wasting your time, you're wasting money. But how do you know? How do you know if it is the script? And there basically there are no shortcuts. You got to write, you got to rewrite, you got to have others read your work, and you got to get feedback. You got to proofread it, you got to polish it until it shines. And there are, I guess, no rules to how. Actually, there are some basic rules to follow for a script. And first, you got to write the first rule, I think. And again, Sophie is here, so she's going to correct me if I'm wrong. But you got to write a story with heart. And prize-winning scripts have something to say. They have something to say about our world, our lives. And this doesn't mean that you can't write like a thriller or a cop show whose partner's murdered. What it basically means is that within a well-worn formula, you need to find an underlying theme worth exploring. There has to be something that really piques the interest of your audience. So like guilt, redemption, racism, of course, the old good versus evil always works, and or the transformation of like a corrupt cop into a good man or a good woman. We always love that, don't we? And let's see, any of these will basically fit an ordinary plot into I guess an above ordinary experience. We do love to see that happen. So the same is true if you're writing a TV script. Many competitions now are accepting television spec scripts or treatments. So you'll need to pick your series very carefully. And ideally, you want to choose something that's critically acclaimed or well watched. Some of my favorites are Boston Legal, Heroes, Prison Break. These are ones that I know do accept spec scripts. And almost any time on HBO, anything on HBO or Showtime, they're always accepting scripts. And within that structure, there should be room for poignancy. And even if you want to do a sitcom, which is what I do, and the stories. The stories that stand out, they're difficult. They're intensely human moments where characters are forced to reveal things, and sometimes they transcend their own limitations, which is always something that very much inspires us and brings the tears. So we want to bring tears. So the second rule is just create rich, complex relationships. Very important. And plots may be the skeleton of your story, but great characters are what spark the life of your story. So your main character has to grow and change, not just because of the events, but also in response to other characters. Relationships engage us, we live, we love, and we do it sometimes vicariously. So keep that in mind and don't be afraid to create a really rich, complex relationship. Sometimes the more complex, the better. And now in television, you're not allowed, keep this in mind, you're not allowed to permanently change basic dynamics between the recurring characters. That's not allowed. But what you can do is you can tweak them, and you can do, say, creating a bond, however temporary, between two characters who normally don't get along, like two brothers, a mother and a father, and make your script memorable that way, long after the judge who's reading the script has come to the end, and they think, my God, I never even saw to create that bond between the characters. So don't be afraid of that. And again, with some of the top shows or your favorite shows, make sure it's a show that you know and love and you really feel that it's possible to do that. Don't make it unrealistic where these people would not have a bond. Just wouldn't. They would claw each other's eyes out. It's just not possible. Next rule, you want to knock them dead in the first 10 pages. Very, very important. You want to open with a bang. In television, the first scene is often known as the teaser. We all know that. And as with anything, the opening scene is always the teaser, even in romance. So whether you're writing for the big screen or the small screen, the first few pages must do this. They must tease the reader with just a few pages, just enough information to capture their interest and enough surprises to keep them turning the pages, because if they stop turning the pages, they've lost interest. So the classic example in one of Albert's favorite movies is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh my goodness, we just saw that again, and he wants to see it again and again. But even that delayed shot of Indiana Jones's face is part of the strategy. It's full of suspense and surprise that signals extraordinary movie experience. So that's what you want to do. So if you've gotten them to read, and keep this in mind, this is a note, 120 pages. That is the maximum. 120 pages, that's the industry maximum. You want to make sure that they leave with an edible image in their minds, and you don't need the hero and the heroine to ride off into the sunset or some corny stuff. We're not making too many cowboys these days, cowboy movies, but you shouldn't have them trampled underneath some horse's hooves either. I mean, we don't want to see that. You want an ending that surprises you, yet at the same time, it's got to fulfill the promise, the spirit, the soul, the movie. Bottom line is, we want to cry, we want to laugh. That's what we want to do. That one of my favorite movies, Thelma and Louise. Woohoo! Love that movie all the way through. It's a great example of that, and it's not a happy ending yet. At the same time, it's a victorious movie because it's unforgettable, and we know why it's unforgettable. Next, be outrageous. You want to be inventive, take some risks, be bold with your character, your plot, your execution. Tell your story in the most interesting manner possible. You don't have to go as far as that crazy movie Pulp Fiction, but the tried and true is only a step removed from the truly boring. So don't go tried and true and think, oh, this is safe, this is what they're looking for, because sometimes they're looking for something that's going to wow them. So ideally, you want how you tell your story to reflect what your story actually is. Something said in the music world, for example, can use music and lyrics to get a great effect. If you're doing a thriller without a ticking, you could do like a ticking clock and play with time in an unexpected way. Don't be afraid to experiment. That's all I'm saying. Do your homework. Oh, I have to tell you about this website I discovered. But basically, do your homework. You want to check out that contest. Do not just go randomly entering these contests before you send them a check. A great website, you want to write this down. Moviebytes.com, MOVIEBYTES.com. This website is full of information about competitions, and it even gives feedback from past entrants, so you know it's legit because you're getting the testimonials. And you want to also decide what you want from the contest. There are many things people are looking for. Money probably is consistent among all of them, but to win, of course, beyond that, do you want the contest to give you written feedback, cash prizes, industry reads, a fellowship where you don't have to move to Los Angeles or New York? If the prize isn't something you want, don't bother entering it because it's a waste of time. And lastly, you want to make the most of your win. This is very important. If you win this contest, what are you going to do? Well, you want to be prepared to toot your own horn. You want, once the win comes your way, you want to have a list of agents that you'd like to work with, producers who might want to buy your script. Put your win or like a top 10 kind of prominent top 10 wins. Hopefully you got more than one, but even if it's just one, it's all right. You want to put that prominently in your query letter or follow up a query with a postcard announcing your latest achievement. If you can get them on the phone, the first thing that you want to do is establish your credibility, so be prepared to list the contest that you did well. So, whether you're a winner, a finalist, a semifinalist, and do it in order of prestige. And national always beats local, so keep that in mind. And if you want your prize to be an industry read, touch base with a reader to make sure that they have a clean copy. And then you can always say that you've done a polish since the contest and you would like to send the latest draft. So that's really good. And then follow up about 6 weeks later, which is traditional, and see if they've had a chance to read it. And this is, again, a terrific opportunity to get feedback from somebody who's been in the trenches. And again, I say this, never, 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 never take no for an answer. No, in my book, is a yes in disguise. So I don't understand the word no. Personally, if you say no, I'm going to ask why 25 times until you give me an answer. But instead, ask them if they could let you know why they passed it. What were they looking for? Why did they pass on the project? And basically, in summary, the entertainment industry is built up on relationships. And, they got clicks. There's nepotism, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but if you can get an open door invitation from a judge or a reader to come back with your next script, that is a prize that will pay off for years to come. So keep that in mind. So those are my thoughts for the day. And we are so anxious to get to Sophie Mokhtari. But if you want any further information about that, email me again at priscilla@questionreality.us. So without further ado, we are going to meet the lovely Sophie Mokhtari. She's just written a book called China Girl, A Daughter's Journey. And we are here to find out all about it. Again, the website is ChinaGirlBook.com. So Sophie, welcome to Question Reality on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hello. Sophie, I met Sophie through a mutual friend named JC O'Connell, and they worked together at NBC Universal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
NBC. And is this your first book? Tell us a little bit about China Girl, what it's about.
Absolutely.
Is it your first book, first of all?
China Girl is the first book. It's my first novel. It will come out, as you said, on August 8th this year.
Oh, looks like we have a call already.
Oh,
My
wow.
goodness gracious. Okay, caller, you are on the air with Sophie Mokhtari.
Hello there, Priscilla. You are so wonderful, and I'm so excited to ask Sophie a question. I've been looking on her website. It's wonderful, ChinaGirlBook.com.
Thank you.
And I noticed, Sophie, you said you've partnered in your writing and with a story consultant, Corey Blake, and I was wondering, I'm a writer, but I've never been able to collaborate with people. And I was just wondering if, how you see what makes a good collaboration versus working on your own.
Oh, absolutely. I began the journey of writing China Girl this book, about 2 years ago. In May of 2007, I finished my original manuscript. It was definitely from the heart. It was a story that just had to be told. And, I'm in the industry. I work for NBC Universal. I have relationships. So through my relationships, I was able to contact, some agents. And for some agents, it's very difficult for them to work with a first-time novelist. However, there is an agent that I met and I correspond with still, based out of New York. And I went back to her, like Priscilla said, never take no for an answer. Ask the question, why? So I went back to her and I said, what needs to be done here? So she said, you really need to develop the script, work on it more, and with that advice, I found Writers of the Round Table. Collaboration is partnership. Basically, they helped me edit the book. We consulted. They helped me market the book. They helped me create the website. Basically, we're pretty much joint at the hips. They have the same values as I do, the same vision. So that's where that's coming from.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much, and good luck with everything. It's very exciting, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, my goodness. You haven't even started talking yet. They're going to be lighting the phones up. Okay, so as you were saying, why don't you continue?
Okay, China Girl is a story about a mother and a daughter. Basically, the story is about Anna Lee, who is a Chinese girl living in Hong Kong back in the 60s. Okay, she is from a wealthy, very traditional family. Mm-hmm. And through the course of her life, at the age of 16, she, has those emotions of love. She has a sexual encounter with a boy. And with this one encounter, she becomes pregnant. And this changes her life. Oh. Okay, so she moves to the U.S., and, it was very much of a different life than she had dreamed about.
Okay.
It's also about her daughter, Lily, who, was from her first pregnancy. She left her in Hong Kong to be raised by her grandparents.
And why did she do that?
Anna did that.
What was her motivation for that?
Well, she wanted to continue with her dream, which is to get an education in the U.S.
Okay.
Her parents were gracious and very giving, and they offered to help raise the child.
Right. Okay.
So the story continues with Lily, immigrating to the U.S. to join this family that she doesn't know, and it talks about, their lives together, the pains and the struggles they have, and ultimately there is success.
Okay.
China Girl is the first book of the Lemonade series.
Okay.
And the purpose of my project, the Lemonade series, is to really create stories that are internationally based, multicultural, discussing issues that are very prevalent in our lives, but at times, cultures, societies, circles do not allow us, to talk about these difficulties. Therefore, we sweep them under the rug.
Correct.
With the creation of China Girl and the Lemonade series, we want to bring these issues to life. Now, going back to China Girl, it's a great story. I think it's a wonderful read for women, daughters, mothers, and men. It talks about issues of sexual abuse, mental abuse, alcoholism, and incest. And in the Asian culture, we do not talk about these things. It's really shameful. However, because it's shameful does not mean it doesn't exist and people do not suffer from it. So that pretty much, Priscilla, in a nutshell, is what China Girl is about.
Okay.
So
now, these taboo subjects, are you talking from a standpoint of when the book was written or takes place in the 60s, or are you talking about that they're still taboo even today? Is that still...
I believe that these taboos happen, it's timeless. It has happened in the past for thousands of years, and it will continue to happen in the future.
Okay.
However, I think, what I want to do is be an advocate to look for solutions and resources for people that suffer from these issues, and really kind of direct them to where they can find help.
Okay. And how are you making that happen? How are you doing that?
Well, if you notice on my website, we definitely have a resource button. So going and tying it back into the story of China Girl, in the resource button, you will find Planned Parenthood. You will find California Now, which is a great organization to build. California Now is the now chapter of, the Women's Feminist Organization, but the California chapter. Okay. And it really is empowering. It teaches women to, it stands for women's rights. It stands for equality in, the athletic world. It stands for consensual sex, so the spin is very positive. It is very empowering. Going back to the resource button, though, there are places where you can go if you have, sexual abuse, or if you've had incest, or if you're an alcoholic and you need help. So also in the book, if you look at the back pages, the same resources are listed, with their URLs. I think sometimes people do not have a choice. Women do not have a choice. They can't find anyone to talk to. And, this is not the end-all solution. However, information is always power. And with power, we can thrive.
Okay. Excellent. Now, I was reading your website, and I think you wrote this, it was very interesting. There's a show that's come on recently, and I think it's called Baby Boomers. Is it?
Oh, Baby Borrowers.
Well, Baby Borrowers. And I have not watched it yet, but initially I thought, what a great concept, because it is going to show all of these teenagers what it's actually like that they have to deal with if they do decide to have a child. Well, I hadn't watched the show, but I thought that those were my thoughts. And then when I read your website, I found out what your viewpoint on it was, and I thought, oh my God, she's right, because they're probably showing these houses. Well, first of all, what did you say about it? And I'll tell you what my thoughts were. You had very good things to say.
Okay, well, Baby Borrowers is a reality show, and the reality show depicts probably 3 or 4 teenage couples. They're not married, they're just couples who desire babies and children. Keeping in mind they're teenagers, they really do not have necessarily a fully developed brain. Yeah. So they make choices against their emotions.
Right.
And it shows these couples living in suburbia in 5-bedroom gorgeous houses, manicured lawns, perfect kitchens,
right.
Not a spot of dirt on the ground. So I mean, even though the point of the show is kind of like an alternative or an evocative way of presenting birth control, it's not realistic.
Right. And what did you say about that? Where are the dirty diapers? Where the hell are the baby bottles? I mean, it's true. If there are teenagers and they were in that environment, we don't want to. I wish they would show, like you said, more realistic settings, not these spotless homes and these model homes, because if they were teenagers, oh my God, chances are they would not have good jobs. They would be working several jobs. When you're young, who the hell wants to clean and keep a house spotless? Who can, even if you want to, because the baby is crying and screaming and you got to change diapers. And I have not watched it yet again, but I love that you really brought a reality to that show, and I really think that they would point that out instead of showing, oh, they live in a beautiful house and, oh, I can handle that. But it is a very, very, young people think of having a baby, it's like having a baby doll.
Right.
It's a toy, or they want to play, it's cute. They really don't think about other aspects. That's where Maury Povich comes in. But what else did you have to say about that subject relating to your book? Is your book kind of, in the Lemonade series? Are you writing anything else?
Oh, absolutely. The Lemonade series will touch upon issues that people face all over the world. So the first book is Asian because that's just closer to home,
right? And
it talks about the subjects, like as I mentioned, of physical abuse, rape, incest, and alcoholism.
Okay.
The second book I've started actually last summer, and I had to kind of put it on hold because there's so much into creating and getting a book published that I've really not had enough time. But it will take place in Peru, and it will deal with some Latino cultures and that society. So,
how many books are in the series?
Well, I have 4 lined up to be written. So I can't put a number to that because I think part of the Lemonade series are stories that are personal to me. The other stories for the other books are inspired by women and people I know. So there's always a basis of reality.
And tell us why you chose that wonderful word, lemonade. I like what you described about that. Why did you decide on Lemonade series?
The Lemonade series is because the goal is to take the sour and the bitter things in life and to really create something sweet and wonderful, such as lemonade. Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Now, what is your goal for the book? It's coming out on August 8th, and people who want to buy that, where can they buy that book?
It will be available on my website. It will be available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. Actually, right now, for today and for all of your listeners, Priscilla, that are my publisher, Corey, and I have decided that if you're listening and if you're looking at the website, we will give you an opportunity to buy a book in advance.
Oh, great.
So if you look at the website, it's right there. You click on the pre-order book, and we will definitely mail it to you.
Oh, and what about additionally, like if they buy it today, maybe they could send it to me and I could get you to sign it.
Oh, that would be awesome. It'd be my honor and my pleasure to do that.
So hear that. If you buy the book today, and where can they buy it today?
On ChinaGirlBook.com.
Oh, on your website.
Exactly.
So, there's where would they go? On what page?
Actually, in the front, you will see on the right-hand column, there is a book pre-order button.
Okay.
And you just click on that, and it's very, it will walk you through the process.
Okay. Yeah, so go to that website now, ChinaGirlBook.com, and buy a book, and then you can send it to me or email me, and I can get it signed for you, and then send it back to you and let us know if you have something that you want her to personally sign, as long as it's not too sultry now. Just some basic standard signage, please. My God, so it sounds exciting. Now tell us, what is your background for writing? How did you learn to be a writer?
Well, writing, I think, comes from within. I've started writing as a child, but actually as a child, I read a lot. When I was growing up in my elementary and middle school days, I used to actually escape to the library, and I would read the whole section of fairy tales. So I think reading actually ties very closely in with writing. As far as my writing, I really started seriously writing within the last 5 years. The last 2 years was really a lot of dedicated weekends, evenings, nighttime working on, China Girl, because I do work full-time for NBC Universal, as a director of corporate sourcing. So that kind of consumes my day.
Whatever that means, but it sounds fancy, doesn't it, people? It sounds like a fancy title. Okay, so go ahead.
But it's really the passion. You have to write from the heart. You have to really want to, for me anyway, there were messages that I wanted to communicate. And I really want to, talk about these issues or these situations in life in the best way possible, even though, they're not easy subjects to deal with.
Yeah. And I want to bring something up, as I say every week. Sophie, again, she's working, I believe, full-time at NBC Universal. She's an executive, and she's still able to pursue her dream of writing a book. So there are many avenues that you can take in order to fulfill your dream. If you wanted to be a writer and you started and it didn't quite work out for you, and then you went on to work a full-time job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that does not mean you have to give up on your dream. Sophie is a perfect example that she's working a full-time job and she's still doing it. If you want it bad enough, you will make it happen. And if obstacles come in your way, you just move on, and there's always somebody out there. Never stay focused and cry over spilt milk that it didn't happen. There's always somebody out there to take your money for a product. So move on and do something else. But don't give up your dream and keep on writing if that's what you want to do. And again, Sophie is a model example of that for sure. But what I was wondering is, for people out there who don't know how to start writing, say they're a young teenager, how do you learn? How did you learn how to write a novel? I mean, there is a structure, there's a flow. How did you get to the point? You got to do query letters, how did you do that?
Well, you have to develop a really fully engaged manuscript. What that means is that you should start with an outline. Okay. You want to basically plot out what your story is going to be about, the incidences in which it all occur. And a very, very important thing is that your characters have to be developed. So you want to spend a lot of time thinking about them. You have to really know them inside and out, because your readers will be engaged if they can identify with your characters. Actually, I'll just share a little secret with you. It has to be so engaging that when people read it, they cry.
Yes.
Okay. And I actually have a friend who works at NBC Universal with me. And, she got her book because she had the special pre-orders, special edition for Mother's Day in May. So my friend ordered this book, and she was telling me about, the characters and where she was in the novel. And as she was sitting there speaking to me, her eyes just filled with tears. So, China Girl is definitely a fully developed, very engaging novel. There's a purpose for this novel beyond just entertainment.
Right.
Just as the rest of the Lemonade series. So once you, write your manuscript, you got to get feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. So part of the Writers of the Round Table, they really edited, the manuscript, and they went through a whole entire process of finding readers for, input and feedback. So we actually got people to read the book, and they gave, we surveyed them, and we really wanted to know if the book hit the mark, if the things that we wanted to do was actually were accomplished through, creating this whole novel, and we were right on the money.
Right. Now, that sounds like a very great way to go. The Writers of the Round Table. What are the Writers of... From what I understand, it's a full-service writing company that specializes in development, marketing, and distribution of exceptionally written content. That would be a great place for someone starting out to go who's not really sure if they're following the right path, right? Is this a group of people that do this professionally, charge for a fee? Or tell us about this organization.
Yeah, they are a group of people, and they they do develop stories. They will actually consult with you. They will edit. They will create marketing material. They will do query letters. They will do articles. Right. So there is a fee, of course. However, those fees are all negotiable. So it's really up to what you bring to the table and what you can walk away with.
That's a great service. My God, a lot of people would benefit from that. And the website for that is writersoftheroundtable.com. I love that title. writersoftheroundtable.com. And would they just go to the website and submit their stuff online, or do they send it via snail mail like a regular package? How would they do that?
I think you would just contact and tell the company what you want to do, and then you take it from there. I think it may be a different process for different people depending on where they are.
Now, is that just for manuscript novels, or is that for, say, TV scripts, all types of scripts?
I was for manual. Manual scripts for novels.
Manuscripts, okay.
Right.
As far as you know?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
So to find out more, go to the website, because we just know what Sophie was doing. We're not sure, if they might do other things. So it's just best to go to the website and check that out, because they might help you through writing a television script or a film script. So it's just best to always check your resources. And are you part of the Writers of the Roundtable, or you're just one of the many people that they've helped?
I'm a client.
Okay, and do they take you from beginning to end?
They didn't take me from beginning to end. Like I said, I finished my first manual script in May, but they definitely helped me do the rest of it.
Right. So
absolutely.
They do proofing and editing, and do they say, okay, well, now this is what you need to do. You need to send a query letter, or do they get you the, like, for example, were they the ones to help you get Barnes & Noble and to do all that?
They can help you with that.
For you.
Absolutely.
Do you do the work, or do they tell you where to go and you do the work, or do they do it for you?
I think for me, they've been extremely helpful.
Okay.
Again, I think it's really, there's not like a cookie cutter approach, so everything is really what you desire it to be, as far as both parties agree. So
are they acting separately from being literary agents, or have they told you need to get a literary agent? Or
I don't think a writer, in order for a writer to be successful, you have to have a literary agent.
Good point.
It's just really another pocket to fill.
Right.
So,
and why do you think that you don't need? Because so many people say, I got to get an agent. But in today's world, I don't feel that you need to.
I think agents, first of all, are extremely busy. If you wanted to have a great agent, you can have an agent, and if they don't do anything for you, you're just kind of like wasting time. So if you have a great agent, they probably have tons of, manual scripts on their desk or books. And for me, I tried that route. It didn't work. So I'm all about solutions, and I want to find a solution that worked for me and really to get China Girl materialized.
Right.
So I really wanted to go with a consultative approach, and that's why I hired the Writers of the Roundtable to help me with this.
Okay. And what would if they don't go with Writers of the Roundtable, can they just write the book, and how can they get their book to Barnes & Noble, for example? What would they do? What's the process if they just write it and they want to get it to Barnes & Noble, or have it sold on the internet?
There are probably companies out there that would do, printing on demand.
Okay.
So especially with digitalization and where we are now with the computers and how things flow, I'm sure someone who wants to be like self-published could do that.
Yeah.
However,
are you self-published?
No, I'm not self-published. Writers of the Roundtable is a boutique publisher as well.
Okay.
So I think, for me, writing a book and really having that book materialize was a great achievement. Okay. However, we want to get this book out and everywhere, just because the message it has to communicate is just so critical and is so powerful and is so important. So, there's so many pieces to the whole process that
it sounds like it. Like, for example, do they make suggestions how many books to, obviously you're paying for how many books are printed, correct? Or are they doing it as the publishing company?
Well, we partner with that.
Okay. So how many do you decide how many books are going to be available for Amazon.com? Who determines that?
Well, I think the customers do. You know, so if you have a huge demand, then more will be published. But I think as a starting point, we really want to test the market, so a limited amount would be published.
Okay. So you better get your book right away. Well, hopefully there's going to be millions of them sold, and she's going to become the best-selling novelist on the New York Times. What is it?
Oh, that's
New York
my
bestseller
goal.
list.
Absolutely.
So, but right now you want to go to her website, ChinaGirlBook.com, and get your copy, and you can say, I got one of Sophie Mokhtari's first books, China Girl. So again, go to her website, ChinaGirlBook.com. Now, we have a couple minutes left. I just want to find out if there's anything else you want to get out there to the listeners. Any upcoming events that you're going to be doing, book signings or anything?
Oh, I'm actually going to be talking to the community relationship manager at Barnes & Nobles in Encino. So we're going to hopefully plan something in the next few weeks, because it's getting closer to 8/8. So we want to do everything. And the Writers of the Round Table, actually, their publishing arm has marketing.
We have another call for Sophie Mokhtari. Hi, caller. You're on the air with Sophie Mokhtari.
Hi, I have a question. Is this Priscilla?
Yes, it is.
Oh, hi, Priscilla. Love your show. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
I have a question regarding her book. As a first-time novelist, I'm sure she had a lot of frustrations and wanting to give up. What did she do not to give up? What was her inspiration? How did she get over the blockage? And I want to say, I think the fact that she's writing a book that's informational as well as entertaining is very different and actually a fresh idea. So I'll just listen. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Persistence. I think that is really the key to my success. However, what drives my persistence is just that, if you read the book synopsis, you would know that it was a message that was in my heart that I dealt with, some issues I've dealt with for many, 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 many years. And I really wanted to, elevate these issues and really come, to the surface and really make good and come clean of these issues. So this was really part of the journey of reconciliation of those issues for me personally, but I wanted to also share it with, the world, the women. And what's really, really amazing is that I've gotten so much wonderful feedback from my friends, in my community. And actually, when you read my blogs, you will know that these subjects are so common that, for example, the sexual abuse piece of it, that 1 out of 6 women something happened to them sometime in their life. And as I make this more public and as more people learn about China Girl, they're telling me, Sophie, we've had the same experience. So I really, that was the purpose. I want people not to feel that, just because some of these things happen to them, that they have no voice.
Right.
There is a voice for all of these folks, and I want to allow these voices to be heard. I want these issues to be heard. I want people to know that, they're not all alone. I wanted to give them comfort as I wanted comfort for myself. So, I hope that answers the question.
I hope that answers your question, caller. She has long gone, but I think she's listening, and I want to thank you so much for listening to the show, and I'm so glad you enjoy it. I really do. We try to help everyone, so there's always someone on the show that I think you'll find interesting if you're interested in the entertainment business. So we are, again, I hope that you have a signing, a book signing. Let me know, and I'm going to let the listeners know.
Oh, great.
When you're
That would be awesome.
It should be on 8808.
Absolutely. And also, I will let you know, Priscilla, and also the listeners, keep an eye on my blogs.
Yes.
A lot of things are, being posted there, events that I go to, things that I'm involved with. So that is a really great, piece of information, an area to go for updates.
Absolutely. And I love your thought process. I hope you follow up the ideas that you had with the baby. What is the show called again?
Baby Borrower.
Baby Borrowers. You got to read what she wrote. Is it still on there?
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. You actually are very funny. I'm going to have to read your blog because I might be missing out on some laughs. You
Thank you.
sound like you got a great sense of humor. Did you incorporate some humor in your book?
There is some humor in it, but
Okay.
you have to read it.
Oh, you have to read. I'm not getting anything. I was hoping that you would do a little excerpt from the book, but I don't think we have time.
Oh,
you
but I would tell you one thing if I could.
Okay, sure.
Actually, last week we updated my website because we wanted to give people an audio audio option.
Oh, great.
So if you look on the website, there's an audio button, and Corey, it should be working, right? Push on that, and you will be able to hear with this wonderful lady, Eva, read a chapter.
What page is that on the website?
It's on the front page. You will see a button that says audio.
Okay.
So you have buttons that says journal, story, author, resource, media, contact, endorsement.
Okay.
The last one is audio.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So click on that, and you should hear a voiceover from. Do you know what section it is, or does she set it up, or does she just start right in reading?
I'll tell you, it's chapter 11.
Chapter 11. Oh, you're getting a sneak peek. It's chapter 11.
Exactly.
So definitely go there to check it out. And again, this sounds like a great organization, writersoftheroundtable.com. I'm personally intrigued. If they want me to advertise them every week, I would love to do that because it sounds like they really help people out. So
they're very helpful.
Let
Absolutely.
me know on that for sure.
Okay.
And then ChinaGirlBook.com. Go to the website, order your book. How much are they going to pay for this book, by the way?
$29.95.
Wow, what a deal.
Absolutely.
I think it's
and you
a
got
deal.
your copy, and it's beautiful.
I did. It's got a beautiful cover. I love it. It's very colorful, and I got a signed copy. And you can get one too if you order it today. And how long is it going to take for the book? Are all the instructions on there? How long it'll take and things like that? Shipping.
Yeah. Once you order it, it shouldn't take more than 14 days.
Okay. All right. So get your copy now. China Girl Book. China Girl, A Daughter's Journey by Sophie Mokhtari. And we thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. Go to, if you are a writer and you need help, it sounds like this is the place to go. I am certainly going to include them in future advertisements wherever I have my show. So writersoftheroundtable.com, and Sophie Mokhtari is the author. And we are going to tell you that next week on the show we're going to have a celebrity. He was huge in the 70s. He's from a show. He was the star of a show called What's Happening. His name is Ernest Thomas. He played Raj. You remember Raj in Rerun, and they'd say, "What's happening?" And it was on, I believe, and again, don't quote me on this, I think 75 to 79. And then again, Ernest Thomas brought it back with What's Happening Now. Was that correct? What's Happening Now in the 80s. And he was the only person that was successful in bringing back a show that was an original sitcom series that lasted as many years as it did continue when it came back. And again, his name is Ernest Thomas, and he's now starring on Everybody Hates Chris, which is a very popular sitcom on it's not the WB anymore, it's the CW, Channel 5 for me. But it's a wonderful show. It's hysterical. It has some of my favorite actors on it, like Tachina Arnold. She used to be on what is that show I loved with Martin Lawrence? Martin Lawrence Show, I think it was called. And I love this woman. She is so spectacular to watch. So he's going to be on next week, and he's going to be talking about what it was like to be a star in the 70s on What's Happening, and what it's like to be a star now on Everybody Hates Chris. I hope I didn't say Everybody Loves Chris, because I get it confused with Everybody Loves Raymond. It's actually Everybody Hates Chris. And he's going to talk about that, and then he's going to talk about his clients. He's also a talent manager, and he does so many things, and he's a fascinating person. You're going to love him. So he's going to be the guest next week. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we should be back next week, hopefully. So check out the website, questionreality.net. www.tribulations.us, and you can see all of the upcoming guests. We got producers, directors, casting agents, talent managers. We got some stunt people coming on, very fun, and some variety performers. And I think we're going to have maybe one more writer, but I think Sophie might be the big one here. I don't know if this person's confirmed yet because he's flying back and forth. But thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Question Reality. Priscilla Leona is off the air.
The Horror Channel is your home for the best in horror entertainment, news, culture, lifestyle, and best of all, price. We are available on Verizon Fios cable television. Go to channel 900, free on demand, and select pop culture. Scroll down and you'll find the Horror Channel. So be sure to visit horrorchannel.com for all of our latest programming.
Do you need a website but don't think that you can afford one? Do you dread the thought of even doing the research to find a company that you can afford? Do you cringe because you know that the person you talk to will try to sell you more than the advertised price? At Design on a Dime websites, we pride ourselves in being able to design original, professional, efficient, creative, and extremely affordable websites. Your website design will load fast, be customized to fit your needs and vision, and be presented in a clear, concise, and easy-to-read format with user-friendly link navigation. We challenge you to find a company that has lower prices and better customer service with beautiful, original designs. So, gather some dimes together and call us today at 213-687-6903. Or visit us on the web at designonadime.us for your personal consultation with a very friendly representative who will be able to give you a great website that fits your budget.